Hello and welcome to Recorder lesson number 9. Now this lesson isn't so much about playing the recorder, it's more about composing. Now composing is where you create music in a thoughtful kind of way for a specific purpose. And we're going to create a piece of music that we could play on our recorder using the notes that we have learnt on our recorder. It's different from last lesson because last lesson we were doing improvisation. Now whilst you're creating your own music with improvisation, that's very much doing something on the spot and making up really spontaneously there and then. But with composition we want to think about the process a little bit more. Now when we compose a piece of music, it's a bit like us creating a piece of written work or having a conversation with somebody. When we create a piece of written work, we use sentences. When we have a conversation with somebody, we often ask questions and we have answers. And it creates a kind of structure to our written work or our conversation. And we're going to do the same thing with our musical compositions. We're going to have a sort of certain structure with sort of sentences, with sort of questions and sort of answers to them. And I'm going to talk you through that in a moment. Now to start us off, we're going to come up with a rhythmic idea that lasts for 2 lots of 4 counts. And to do that, or one of the ways to do that, could be to find some words that might fit into this amount of time. So this is 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's got to last that long. So you could come up with your own phrase or maybe like types of food or something to do with the topic you're doing at the moment that creates a rhythm that fits into those 8 counts. Now I'm going to come up with one now and you can then use that one or you can come up with your own. So the one I'm going to use goes like this. I like sausages, fish and chips. I'll do it again for you. I like sausages, fish and chips. Can you clap that back for me? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like sausages, fish and chips. Okay, so that's hopefully in your head. Now, as I said, you can stop the video, create your own if you want, or you can watch me do the whole process and go along with my rhythm or then do your own afterwards. So we've got our rhythm. I like sausages, fish and chips. We now need to work out how are we going to turn that rhythm into recognisable notation using our tar and TT notes. Let's have a look at how we do that now. Now, for our composition today, to keep things easy, we're going to try and create rhythms that only use these notes. This is our tar note, our TT, 2 TT notes, and our tar note that's longer. So I've got our tar, our TT, and our tar. And my rhythmic pattern, the one that goes, I like sausages, fish, and chips, that one uses only those different notes that you can see there. So let's see if we can work out how we're going to write down that rhythm. Here's our phrase. Oh, look, I'm in front of the chip bit. Let me move myself up here. Okay, so we've got the I like sausages, fish and chips. Pause the video now and have a discussion as your class and maybe write it up on the whiteboard how you think you would write this phrase as a rhythm. Okay, so hopefully you've worked it out yourselves. The rhythm would actually look like this. Are you right? There you go. So we've actually got the rhythm that goes ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, 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 ta. And you can see how that fits with I like sausages, fish and chips. Okay, brilliant, well done. So for your composition, you are going to use the 5 notes that you have learnt. Those notes are so perhaps have a little go now with me at playing up from G to A to B to C to D and then back down C, B, A, G. Let's try that all together after 4. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. And stop. Recorder's back under your arm. Now, in music, when we create a piece of music, we always like to feel that we know where our home is in the music. And by that, I mean which note sounds like our main note of the whole piece of music. And for us, our main note is going to be G. This is kind of our home note. Let me explain a bit more about what I mean. So if I was to sing a song for you, let me say I sang Twinkle Twinkle to you. And I'm going to go, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you... It doesn't sound finished there, does it? You all want to go, ah, as the last note. Not only because it doesn't make sense from a sentence point of view, the word, you need the last word, but also the piece doesn't sound finished because you didn't end on the main note of the whole piece, the ah, that note. If you end on that note, it sounds a bit weird. How I wonder what you are. You need the last note. And so that sense of home, that sense of where things finish is really important in a piece of music. So, in order that your piece of music makes sense, we're going to need to follow a few rules. The first rule is that you're going to start your piece on a G, okay, because that's our main note of the piece. And in order that the piece sounds finished, you're also going to end your piece on a G, okay, so it sounds like it's come home and the whole piece finishes. In order that it doesn't sound boring and it always comes back to the main note, because if Twinkle Twinkle went, twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky, twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are, it would sound a bit boring coming back to that home note every time. That's why it doesn't do that. It goes to a different note in the middle. And so you're going to sort of go on a musical journey where you go to a different note halfway through, and then you go back to your home note at the end. So whilst you've started your composition on a G and you're going to end your composition on a G, halfway through you're going to use a different note. And in this case, you're going to choose either an A or a D. You can choose either of those two notes and that will sound pretty good. Okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to plan out our composition. So in order to do this, we're going to mark out our empty piece of music, our empty bars. We're going to create a composition that is 8 bars long. That's 8 lots of 4 counts long. So you can see that on my lines, I have drawn some bar lines, these lines here that separate it. So there's going to be 4 counts here, 4 counts here, 4 counts here, 4 counts here, and then on the next line 4 counts, 4 counts, 4 counts, 4 counts, and so on. Okay, and what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to sketch in my rhythm that I've chosen to base my composition on, the I like sausages, fish and chips. So I'm going to pop that under the first 2 bars. There it is. I like sausages, fish and chips. At the moment, I'm just putting it underneath the stave because as soon as I put them on the stave, the notes, that's going to create some actual notes. But at the moment, I just want to sketch out the rhythm. I'm going to repeat that rhythm for the next 2 bars as well. There it is. And I'm going to repeat it again for the next 2 bars. And then I'm going to leave my last 2 bars completely blank because I'm going to create my own ending, my own rhythm for them in the end, but I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, now we need to think a little bit about the notes that we're going to use. Now, the other thing about melodies or pieces of music is that we always have some things that are the same, some things that are repeated, and some things that are different. If everything in a piece of music is different and nothing is ever repeated, nothing's ever the same, we get a bit confused. But if everything is the same, then it's a bit boring. So Think about Twinkle Twinkle again. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. That's our first little pattern. Then we have up above the world so high. And then they repeat that pattern. It's the same pattern but different words. Like a diamond in the sky. So there's a little bit that was repeated there. And then we repeat the whole first section again. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Now your piece isn't going to quite work like that. It's not going to have a repeated bit at the beginning and the end. But it is going to repeat at certain points. And in order to make your piece sound right, you're going to repeat whatever you do at the beginning for the first 2 bars, you're going to repeat that exactly for bars 5 and 6. So the start of the second line. I'll show you that now.
So let me talk you through the structure, the layout of this piece again. So we're going to use the rhythm, the I like sausages, fish and chips. We're going to use that for the first 2 bars. Then we're going to repeat that rhythm again for the second 2 bars, the next 2 bars. Then we're going to repeat that rhythm again for the bars 5 and 6. And then for the last 2 bars, bars 7 and 8, we're going to make up something totally different in a minute. And then thinking about notes, we're going to start our whole piece with a G. At the end of the first line, which is the end of bar 4, we're going to end it with either an A or a D, so that it feels like we've gone away from our home for a little bit. Then, in order that it doesn't sound completely random and we have some repetition, in the next 2 bars, which are bars 5 and 6, we're going to repeat whatever we've done above. And then lastly, we're going to end the whole piece with a G, so it feels like we've come home. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we could do this in practice. Now I'm actually going to show you using a free software called Noteflight. And you can Google Noteflight and you can sign up for an account and then you can do this yourself online. Or if you want, you can just do it on a piece of paper. That is also absolutely fine. So we're going to compose our piece using the rules that I mentioned just now. So I've opened Noteflight and at the moment it's given me these 2 staves and I don't actually want that. So I'm going to change it to a different instrument. So I'm going to add now there doesn't seem to be a recorder here, so I'm going to add flute instead. So we're going to say it's a flute. I'm going to get rid of the piano that we don't want. So there's my flute. And at the moment we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, but we need 8 bars. So I'm going to add some bars to this this thing. So over here it says measure. That's an American word for bars. So I'm going to add another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so it looks like the other one did. I'm going to make sure it, by pressing return, I get it onto 2 lines. So there's my 8 bars. Okay. Now remember we were using the rhythm. I like sausages, fish and chips. So I'm going to just put those notes in first of all, just completely using, I'm just going to put them all on one note. I'm going to put them on the second line up. So I like, and then I think I have to put another one and then change it to a quaver, to the TT sound. I like sausage. You just click it in before you change it. I like sausages. And then click one in, fish and chips, change that to a tar. There you are, that's our rhythm, all on one note. So far, that will sound like this. I like sausages, fish and chips, okay? So that's not incredibly exciting at the moment because it's all on one note. So now we're going to change it so that we end up with a bit more of a tune to it. So the rule was that our first section had to start on a G. Now, I don't know if you can remember what any of the lines or spaces on the treble clef were, but our B was our middle line. So if we work backwards from B, B, A, so hang on, I'll move that one up. That's a B. This is an A and this is a G. So I've actually done them all on the line of G already. So we're going to start on a G. I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to go up a note for this one. It doesn't matter what we do. I've got anywhere between G, A, B, C, and D. Those are the 5 notes that we're allowed to use. So anywhere from the 2nd line up all the way to the 4th line up, any of those notes. So I'm going to go G, A, B, A, B, C, B, C. Okay, let's hear what that sounds like from the beginning. Okay, that's okay. That's all right at the moment. Now, we know that we need the same rhythm in bars 3 and 4. So I'm going to actually, if I click on the whole bar, hold down Shift and click on the 2nd bar, then I can copy it by doing Control C and paste it into bar 3 with Control V. So I've actually got the same thing now, which I don't want. So I'm going to keep the same rhythm, but I'm going to move some of the notes around. I think I'm going to go start on a D this time. C, D, E. Now, can you remember the last note of bar 4? The rule was it had to be either an A or a D. I'm going to leave it on a D, I think. I think I'm going to move these two. I'm going to do it like that. Okay, so far I've got 4 bars. Now, the rule for bars 5 and 6 was they had to be the same as bars 1 and 2. So I'm going to copy bars 1 and 2 and pop them in bars 5 and 6. So they're exactly the same as bars 1 and 2. And then I said you could do whatever you want for the last two bars, but it had to end on a G. So I'm actually going to do a completely different rhythm now. I think I'm going to do a few more TTs. How do I get my TTs? Oh yeah, I have to click them in, don't I? I'll just click them on any note for the moment. T, 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 T. Might as well do a tar, tar, and then I'm going to do 2 tar notes, 2 2-beat notes. Oops, I'm just doing it on a random note, but that's fine. We don't need this bar at the end, it's just appeared, so let's get rid of that. So I know my last note has to be a G, so let's make that a G to start off with, and then I can do anything with these notes. I think I'm going to go okay. So I've just sort of moved them around, but I've kept my rules. My rule was the first note had to be a G and the last note had to be a G. My note at the end of bar 4 had to be a D or an A. I've chosen a D, and that bars 5 and 6 had to be exactly the same as bars 1 and 2. So let's have a listen to my whole piece now. Great, well, I'm pretty pleased with that. So what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to try and play that on the recorder.
So let's have a listen to how the piece sounds on the recorder. Sounds like this. Now, I've also tried to add a backing to it to see if I can make it sound even more like a whole piece of music. So if you practiced writing your melodies, your tunes like this, and then got more and more advanced at it in the future, you could maybe add backings to your pieces too, and they could sound a bit more like this. So now, have a go yourselves at creating your own compositions Follow the instructions that I followed and see what you can come up with, and I very much look forward to hearing some of them at some point.